Hey, I'm Quinn Redeker. Welcome to PoliceMotorTraining.com. Today, I want to talk about lane position and setup in the pattern. I want you to unlock your mind to the idea that, in fact, although these are tight sections, there are options within this pattern that will make getting through here a lot easier and smoother. Now, remember, 50% of this, in my opinion, this is skill, and it takes challenges and skill to get through this stuff. I get it. But there's also a judgment component, and that is taking a little bit of time, deconstructing these patterns, thinking them through so that you can make some smarter decisions within them. And when I say smarter decisions within them, that means you're taking a look at where you're coming from and you're taking a look at where you're going, and that's going to dictate how you can set up for this pattern. So what we have here today, these are just offset lanes. These are 5 feet wide, 10 feet long, then 5 feet over. We have another one that is exactly that. It is 5 feet wide and 10 feet long. And then the third one over here, same thing. 10 feet up from that, 5 feet wide, 10 feet long. The first thing that's important for you to really think through is there is a measured distance, but then there's what I like to consider a practical distance within a pattern. So the measured distance is 10 feet from that cone to that cone, okay? But the practical distance, and when I say practical distance, I mean how much space do I really have to move around in here, okay? I understand these chutes are 5 feet wide. I get it. I understand I have 10 feet to get from here to there. However, if I can affect my turning movements within a section like this earlier, it's going to give me more room. Well, how does it do that? Well, let's take a look. This first chute, now again, depending on where I'm coming from, it's going to dictate how I set up. But for all intents and purposes today, let's just say right now while I'm walking you through this is just a long chute, okay? Well, if I can get the bike turning sooner than that cone up there, say where this line is here, that's going to buy me how much space? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 feet. 5 feet of distance. Well, what does that mean? Well, instead of 10 feet, I've got effectively my practical distance is 15 feet. That's huge. So you might ask me, well, how am I going to get my motorcycle over here? I'm going to kill all these cones. Wrong, back of the line for you. That's not accurate. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this well-known Canadian trick. It's called the chicane shimmy. I don't know why it's Canadian, whatever. Anyways, here's what we're going to want to do. We're going to want to get the motorcycle all the way over here before we execute this right without hitting all these tall cones. We'll assume these are tall cones. How are we going to do that? Well, the bike is going to have to be leaned over. Well, how do we get it leaned over here? We do that with this chicane shimmy. And what it looks like is this. I'm going to come down here, say this is a long chute. I know I'm going to want to drop the bike in over there. I'm going to swing out left a little, swing out right. Now I've got a decent lean, so I'm not hitting these. And then I'm going to drop in pretty hard and at a lean angle right around here. So now the motorcycle is dropped over. I'm not going to hit this because I'm way over, but I'm already executing my turn versus waiting till I'm out here. And now, if I'm out here, I'm going to have a much more difficult time. Why? Well, because once I'm out here in this space, I don't have a lot of room to make my adjustment. And just like in other cone patterns where if you don't make moves early on and continue to find your bike in the right spot, you kind of run out of space over time. The eliminator's that way, and one of the things in early motor schools, you'll see guys doing that. Their first turn's kind of okay, then they don't really get enough room on the second, and then by the third, they're screwed. Same thing here. If I wait till I'm out here to start executing my turn movement because of rear wheel cheat, because I don't want to hit this thing, I've eaten up a lot of real estate before I can get over here and start making my adjustment. So, let's make the adjustment early. Now, how do we decide if this is a good place or not? Is it good for us to be here? Well, I don't know. Let's ask ourselves two questions. Where are we coming from and where are we going? If I'm coming in here straight, I'm going to need that little chicane. It works great. I know I'm going to make it right because this is where these offset lanes go. So yes, this is exactly where I want to be set up. Now, here's the tricky part. We talk about deconstructing the pattern. We talk about thinking it through. We talk about being mindful of how I get the motorcycle situated within this 5-foot space. Well, here's how I do it. Where am I coming from? I showed you a straight chute. Well, let's say this is a 90 right. Let's say I'm coming right here. nice and straight into a 90 right. Well, that's even easier, and it's even better for a couple reasons. First of all, if I'm in this 5-foot chute that connects to this 10-foot chute, 5 foot wide, I'm going to do the same thing I did there. I'm going to swing the bike, little chicane shimmy, and I'm going to swing it out here. But what's beautiful here is now I'm going to try to make this from back there all one smooth turning movement. One of the things I point out with some people when they do motor comps is what I call micro adjustments. A micro adjustment is essentially when I'm in a certain part of the course, I'm making little adjustments to move the bike left or right. The challenge with that is, or not the challenge, but the problem with that is it upsets the motorcycle. And it upsets the rider. It's causing you to do some math too, which is not good. Less math is better. So, so what we want to try to do is, let's try to turn this into one smooth arc. And I'm going to demonstrate this so that it's nice and smooth. I'm using up as little real estate as I have to, or as I can, so that I position the bike in a good place. Now, once I get into here, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to try to hold that lock, pull the motorcycle over here, so I can get over this side and execute the same thing. And I made this line here. It's approximately 4 feet. Approximately 4 feet compared to 5, because it's coming from a little tighter section, but I'm still buying myself 4 feet of space. And now I'm going to do the same thing here. Now, as we exit, if this just continued on, offset, 5 over 10 up, on and on and on and on, I would just keep doing that. And I would be able to put my motorcycle in the best spot, which is as far over here as I can, so that I can execute that right. Now, when I'm coming out of here, let's just say it made a left. Well, as I showed you there with that 90 right, and we could make a smooth arc all the way into the pattern, let's just say this is a 90 left coming out. Well, that's even easier. That's great. That means once I'm over here, I'm just going to drift out here, and I'm going to make this all one smooth turning movement. And then I'm going to accelerate down to wherever I'm going. And I'm going to demonstrate that. So it depends on, like as I said, where you're going and where you've been is going to dictate where you set up. But think about a cone pattern as options. Where do I want to turn in? Where do I want to put the wheel? What's the most advantageous spot for me to place the front wheel on this motorcycle? Because that's going to help us get through these patterns smoother and easier. So I'm going to hop on the bike really quick and ride you guys through it. Any questions, just raise your hand. I'll stop and we'll go from there. So again, we're going to pretend that this is just a long straight chute, right? The little Canadian chicane shimmy deal. So here's what that's going to look like. I'm going to want to come out here, over, in, drop in. Now I'm dropping in, same thing, dropping in, here, dropping in, and then I'm out. So we're going to do that again, because I want to be on the far left as much as I can. So I'm going to come out, in, drop in. All right, drop in and drop in. Right, so now I mentioned doing a full, nice, smooth arc all the way around this. We're going to pretend this is a 90 right for me. I'm going to swing out, and look at that. What's that? Just a nice, smooth arc. See that? Let me do that again. So we're just coming in here like this was a 90 right. I'm going to swing out and get a nice smooth arc all the way through that, right? Same thing with coming out of this. Smooth arc left. So let me just do this backwards so you can see that part. So smooth arc out, right? So think about where you're coming from and where you want to go. It's all going to dictate where I want to set up for this little chute. Can I ride this in the middle? Yes, I can. Is it faster? No. If I know where I want to go, there's a better place to be than straight in the middle. So think about that when you're going through here. I'm going to just do that little shimmy one more time. It's for the Canadians. So I'm going to go out here, back, and drop in. All right. Questions? No questions. All right. Lane position dictates so much of about where I'm going to end up and how hard it's going to be. Just think about if I came through here over here. If I came through here over here, I've got very little room, very little space to accomplish anything. Not a great place to be. So maximize the practical space that you have in these cones. Okay? If you have any questions, reach out to me, policemotortraining.com. Also, you're going to see on the website, I have a number of different tabletops. So they're patterns that I broke down and kind of walk you through this on a tabletop of what that looks like. All right, you guys have a great day. I appreciate the time.